Lamed Zion of a base on the bottom. About what is it? 4 lines from the bottom. Oh, Levashi Lerav Kana. So we had Rakiva said Hetem Mitzaf Leser, and the Mishnah knows the Shor Peter Beyayin, and all together is a Kazayas, including the bread. Rakiva held Hetem Mitzaf Leser. They wanted to argue. They said you need a pasuk for Tam Kicker. That was yesterday's Gemara. So it came out that Rakiva holds Hetem Mitzaf Leser. Amalei Rav Ashi Le Rav Kana El Hadatanya Mikola Shiyasa Megafan Hayayin Limud Ali Suri Nazir Shem Mitzaf Zemze. There was a brisa that if you have different Isurim of Nazir, there's a lot of Isurim. It has wine in the pasuk about wine alone, but not about the other things about a haircut and tuma, but about the wine alone. It says about yayin and chometz yayin and grapes and raisins and pits and skin. All that it says. So it says that the almost starved. Since it says Makala Shiyasa Megafan Hayayin, they learn out that the different Isurim are almost starved together with each other. So altogether you had a shear, not of pits alone, not of grapes alone, but all different Isurim that are starved. But the kasha is, doesn't make sense. If Rabbi Akiva holds that even heter is mitzvah, if you have, I think was it before rove or equal, and you have iser and you have heter, even bread, you have wine and bread. Bread has nothing to do with iser and nazir. Bread is mutter, but if it goes together with the bread, with the wine, so altogether there's a shear because I is reveals whatever all the shear is, so it's mitzvah. So even heter and heter is mitzvah. So as the Chiddush to say the different Isurim are mitzvah, here it talks about it, that the Isurim are mitzvah together. If you have a sheer kazayas from the raisins and the grapes, it's mitzvah. It's not a Chiddush. Even bread and grapes is mitzvah. That's the big kasha. If you hold that to mitzvah, listen, you don't need a pasuk to say.
You say the mevatel there. Like you have matzah and marif eaten together, it could be mevatel together.
You don't say that the bread is mevatel. You know, if you have bread and wine, so then. Bread and wine is bread and wine is mitzvah, so then surely two Yisroel are mitzvah. You don't even need an issa. So that was Rav Ashi's kasha on Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva that has heter mitzvah list, he doesn't need a drasha to tell you that issa mitzvah list. Amalei. So Rav Kana answered. The din that heter mitzvah lister is only if it came together, babasachas, which means he ate it all together. But it's a lister is mitzvah like a regular yisurim that if you have takal dechilas pras, even if you didn't do it all together, you had a time lapse in between. As long as it wasn't too much, it's then mitzvah. But heter mitzvah lister is only when it was eaten together simultaneously. So if the case of the Mishnah is even extreme that it was absorbed, it was soaked in with the wine. That's mamish basachas. But if you're going to have some wine, then you can take also some bread. It has to be the basachas. But the din if isim mitzvah is even if you had a time lapse in between, you didn't eat it together. As long as you didn't have a time lapse of kedechilas pras, they're also mitzvah. So kasha with the teretz, everything's good. Next Gemara, Rab Shimon, the less lay tziruf. Rab Shimon is interesting. In Kol HaTorah he says that for malchus you don't have to have a shear. Whenever we say there's a shear kazayis for eating the vela or whatever it might be, or chaylev. So he says that for malchus you don't need a shear. There's no shear. That even on a mashu there's malchus. Only Rab Shimon. Last one on the page was Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon the less tziruf. So he holds that for malchus you don't need a shear. You always need a shear only for a korban. Let's say on a chaylev dam. Over there is a korban patas. So there you have to have a shear in order to be chayv a korban. But malchus alone is chayv even on a mashu. By nazir there is no korban for drinking wine. There's a korban in tumah. If he became tumah, he has to start all over again, and he has to bring korbanos. But drinking wine, there's no korban. There's just malchus. And Hashem holds it for malchus. You don't need a shear. So the whole concept of kol ha'sheyasa that we said now, once you brought in this halacha kol ha'sheyasa we get from yayin, that it's coming to tell you different yisurim on mitzvah. It's only if you need a shear. But Hashem holds you don't need a shear. That you chayv even on a mashu. So there's no reason to bring a pasuk to say that two yisurim on mitzvah if you don't need a shear at all. That's the kasha of Shimon. Why does he need the pasuk of kol ha'sheyasa my doshlo? What's he going to do with the pasuk of kol ha'sheyasa to mimarbe that it's mitzvah to the shear? You don't need a shear. Even a mashu is chayiv. We had this Rashi before already. if someone may say he's being a nazir only from Chatzanim. I'm a nazir from Chatzanim. So Tanakh says that it becomes a full-fledged nazir. Reb Shimon says only chayiv only becomes a nazir if he said I'm maser on all things. He can't just take on just this one thing alone. So everyone knows he can't be a partial nazir, but only from Chatzanim. But Tanakh says once he said Chatzanim, so then you're maser on everything. Reb Shimon says you're only maser if you say you're maser from everything. So that's what he learns out. That only if you ask yourself on everything, but if you ask yourself on one thing, you don't become a nazir at all. So according to Shimon, that there's no shear, less late siruf. He doesn't have to have siruf because he holds a chayv even on a mashu. So there's no such thing as siruf. Not issa mustafla issa, not hetem mustafla issa. You don't need a shear at all. Even a mashu is chayv. So what do you do with this pasuk? The pasuk is coming to tell you that you don't become a nazir only if you became a nazir from everything. And they want to argue and say if you became a nazir from one thing, it automatically projects everything else. You become a full-fledged nazir. Just to finish off the sugya of,
How do we hold? We hold like
you don't know the corruption. You hold that you have to. Even from office also you have to have a shear. Right?
even if you take something on in the zeros,
Then you have full nazir. Now we go back to the whole din of Hetem Mitzvah Lister. I think this is Kamat, the closing of Hetem Mitzvah Lister. I'm not sure that we had quoted 2 pages ago at the beginning of the sugya that Rabbi Yochanan said Kol Yisur Shebetor Hetem Ein Hetem Mitzvah Lister except for nazir. And that was we came out yesterday that it means only Rabbi Akiva was like that. He also used up his machlokes Rabbanan and Rabbi Akiva, and that was yesterday's Gemara that one don't hold Hetem Mitzvah Lister only by korban chatas, by kachim. Over there it says Kol Hashem Yigab B'Sarah Yikdash. Everyone holds of that, but Rabbi Akiva holds by nazir also, and the straight Shubam Shavon Kachalei Malamdim. But anyway, the beginning of the study started Amr Rabbi Amr Rabbi Yochanan Kol Yisurin Shebetorah Ein Hetem Mitzvah Lister Chutz Mi Nazir. And Rabbi Lazar was a bit different. He said also more or less the same thing, that it means according to Rabbi Akiva, Hetem Mitzvah Lister only by nazir. But when he said over this Gemara, he didn't say the same terms of Kol Yisurin Shebetorah Ein Hetem Mitzvah Lister Chutz Mi Yisurin Nazir. He said Revius. He used the word Revius instead of saying Yisurin. So it's really the same halacha. Mishras. That this halacha mishras tells you that even if there's going to be a tziruf of heter, also it's asur. But he didn't use the example of he didn't say the terminology. He didn't say the formula of kol yisur and shebetorah. He said kol reviyah shebetorah. Why did he quote it differently? What's the difference between Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yochanan? Ma'ika bein Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Lazar. Ika b'nayu Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Afilu Ochlim. Rabbi Lazar mashkenin vidiyach vinolo. Rabbi Lazar that said over this din after by reviyas, he's talking about liquid. Reviyas is a liquid measure. So in fact, it's no more liquid. It sounds like he would hold that solids are not going to be hetem mitzvah lister. If you take the case of liquid, what?
Bread and wine.
Yes, bread and wine is a good case because that's liquid, because it gets absorbed into the. That's what Rabbi Akiva said. Rabbi Akiva said bread and wine. That Rabbi Lazar is masking because that's called the mashke. But if you have bread and a grape, half a kazayis of a grape and half a kazayis of bread, and they ate it together, so Rabbi Lazar would say no, that's not good enough. It's only liquid. Liquid is going to be mitzvah lister. But like the Rabbi Akiva's example of liquid going into the bread, but a solid and a solid, you can have a grape and bread, even if you ate it in one bite, you took it all together, so not. And Rabbi Yochanan says even that also. Rabbi Yochanan will say that even bread and grape is also going to be mistaf, not after one.
The mashkin is with a salad.
Even with a salad, sure, two mashkim surely. I think if you take wine and different mashkim, probably surely also have the mistaf listen. According to Rabbi Akiva, Mamish homogenizes, but even liquid and bread. But if it can be two solids that don't mix together, so then Rabbi Lazar will say even Rabbi Akiva doesn't know that to mistaf lissa, and Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Akiva will say to mistaf lissa even on that. And I think that yes,
with the liquid and bread, let's say the challah in the wine, is that gazais or revius?
So I think that's a machlokes. If you hold the kazayis or revius, that goes back to the old machlokes. Rabbi Akiva said a kazayis. Rabbi Akiva happens to hold probably like the Mishnah Achrona that the shir is kazayis. If there was a sheet that had held Mishnah Rishona that is a revius, could we have to have a revius?
So you need revius of wine in the bread.
No. If you have a revius wine, then you don't have to mitzvah for this. Then it's the revius of wine. If you have altogether a revius together, counting the bread also, then you have hetem mitzvah for this. So one subject is how what the shir is b'chlal. Is it a kazayis or revius? And then another subject is these hetem mitzvah for this. Rabbi Akiva says hetem mitzvah for this. We don't pass like that. He passes like the Rabbanan that you don't say hetem mitzvah for this only by chatas. Only by chatas. Over there it says kol hashem yigab b'sarah yikdash. Now we get a bonus, a cruise. That's cruise. Yesterday's Gemara said that by chatas you do say hetem mitzvah for this. We can scroll back to yesterday,
Oh, that's the only one that,
that we do say at the Mustaf
that's
Lisa.
a
Something that's
by
high
everybody.
passive.
No, carbon meat of a carbon, meat of a
The
kachim,
the-
meat of
the
kachim,
fattest meat.
meat of kachim that got absorbed into other meats. So he's at the Mustaf Lisa over there.
Mustard.
That was yesterday's Gemara.
It's a bigger love. I don't understand what's enough community between that and other.
There was a pasuk over there. There's a pasuk and Trek Suva Bamkech and Emalandim. So we don't learn out from Chatas and Nazir to other places. Also, Chulin Bekachim Alfina. It's a chomer by Kachim Dafka. The Rabbanan say that it only says it by Chatas. You're not going to learn to other places. Rabbi Kiva says it says by Nazir also, but it's Trek Suva Bamkech. So he's going to say Dafka Chatas and Nazir, nothing else. So in general, I mean us, we have us like the Rabbanan. You don't see Etem Esaf Lissa only by Kachim. If you have Kachim that got absorbed into Chulin, so even if you don't have a sheer kazayis of the Chatas alone, also you're going to say Etem Esaf Lissa, but only by Kachim.
And wine this year is a kazayis?
By wine, well, that's going to be the regular question about what the share of Nazir is. So that's coming up. The Mishnah, we had the Mishnah Mishona, Mishnah Achrona. There's a big machlokus that seems how you learn Pshat in the Mishnah. The Rosh seems to learn that there's an extreme machlokus that the Mishnah Mishona said everything is a revius, even food, and the Mishnah Achrona said everything is a kazayis, even wine. That's the easy, simple way to think. There's other pshatim in the Gemara. The Rambam, Allah Lamaisa, I mean, the Rambam paskins that food is kazayis and drink is a revius. It could be he probably learned that everybody holds that drink is a revius. Mishnah Mishona, Mishnah Achrona. The question was how much food. Mishnah Mishona said that food is also good. Mishnah Achrona said that food is a kazayis. Other pshat learned the other way, that everybody held that food is a kazayis. The question is if wine is a revius, if the liquid is a revius or not. Mishnah Mishona said that's a revius. Mishnah Achrona says everything is a kazayis. So, but the Rambam paskins, the Rambam paskins that food is a kazayis and grapes is going to be a kazayis and liquid is going to be a revius. So you have to fit the pshat of Mishnah according to him also. But it seems that it's not simple. It means the Mishnah itself is not simple. What's the Mishnah? What's the Mishnah Achrona? And then there's the issue of Heter B'Saf Lissa, whatever the share is going to be. So new Gemara, this rest of the Gemara now is mamish nothing to do with Nazir really. So it's a bonus, and it's we mentioned something about revius of Nazir. So Amar Rabbi Lazar, Eser revios saying there are 10 revios in the Torah. Means now we're going on a cruise, very broad. 10 cases in Shas, whatever in the Torah that have a share of a revius. The Nakad Rav Kana, V'yadeh, Chamesh Sumakta, V'chamesh Chimarta. 5 of them are red, 5 of them are white.
Sumakta means red.
Right, Sumak. Chimarta is white.
Okay.
They probably have some wines that are called Sumak, no? Any kind of wines?
Sumac.
They make,
There's a sumac tree.
that probably it's red. It's
I don't know.
probably it's red fruit.
Huh?
What are they going to say? It's
Poison sumac. But they're not all poison. When I grew up, the street behind our house was sumac road,
Okay.
but I didn't pay attention to that.
So Sumakta is red, and we had this also. We spoke about a couple of days ago about the red cow, the black cow, the white cow. Also, we had over there Sumak. Sumak means red. So there are 5 reds, and now which things are red? We'll see what's red. And there are 5 whites. The whites also not going to be all the same color white, but that's a simon to remember the 5 and 5. And now Chamish Sumakta. 5 reds are as follows. So the Gemara tells us in Umanic, a simon to remember, and it gives us a story. I just saw an article. Moshe, the article he showed us about Zichru, that how to remember the whole Shas over there. So over there, there's something going on that they had 1,000 daf. They came to the 1,000 daf mark in the daf yomi, and they had how many? About 20 or 30 people learning Balabatim. And they say the Balabatim, they weren't big learners, and they were tested publicly on the 1,000 daf. And they asked, what's on daf? What's in the Dorim, daf Samach, this, whatever? And they said 3 sugyas. Or you asked them a certain sugya, where is it in Shas? They'll tell you. So everybody was amazed. So the way the program goes is that each daf gets a picture. And the picture is going to remind a picture of a scene, a whimsical scene, as they put it. And that's going to remind you of 3 issues. And you learn the daf, you chazir the picture, and you know also which daf it is. That gives you a symbol for which daf. Like daf Beis is a house, a bias. Daf Dalet is a door. And you're supposed to remember the pictures of each Masechta. And people were enjoying very much. They chazir, as they went down the street, they chazir 50 block because they have 50 pictures. So this Gemara does that. This Gemara tells you a picture to remember 5 things. Here it
But
goes.
it doesn't say simon, right? You said there's.
It doesn't say simon. This is the simon. It's in parentheses. Nazir also Pesach shehogu b'mikdash u'mesim. Here's a story. There was a Nazir and somebody doing a korban Pesach. You imagine the picture: a Nazir and someone doing a korban Pesach that were paskening in the Beis HaMikdash. They were paskening in the Beis HaMikdash and they died. Don't learn anything halachas out. This is not. This is just a story. The story is to remind you of these 5 things. There's a Nazir and an Osa Pesach that paskin in the Beis HaMikdash and they died. What do these things tell you? Now it's gonna tell you what the simon is. That's a way to remember. Here it goes. Nazir. These are 5 revias, 5 cases of a revius. Revius, Nazir, revius island Nazir. That the shear for Nazir to drink wine is a revius. That's good. How about also Pesach? That when you drink the arba kosas, each one has to have a revius. So that's the Nazir and the also Pesach. What does Horu mean? What's that supposed to remind you of? Shas revius ayin al yora. If somebody drinks a revius of wine, he's not allowed to paskin because he's a little bit high. So that's also a shear revius. The mikdash, shas revius ayin v'nechas the mikdash chayiv misa. That if somebody drinks wine and goes to the Beis HaMikdash, it's called shtuya yayin. Yayin v'shecher v'alteish. You're not allowed to do avoda, going to the Beis HaMikdash when you're drunk. What's called drunk? It doesn't have to be drunk. A revius yayin is already enough that you're not allowed to. You call it shatui. You call it drunken. And mesu. What's the case of mesu? What's supposed to remind you about a revius? This is not already wine. So far, the reds were all wine. They had 4 wines. Now goes the red. This is blood. The Tanya, Menayin the revius dam shiyotza mishnei mesim shimetama boel shenemar v'alkol nafshus meis lo yobo. So this is really coming to tell you that the blood of a dead man is metami boel. How much blood? A revius of blood. But this has a fancy case over here. Machlokus if it came out of 2 mason, that altogether they have a revius, but not from one dead man alone. It was combined of 2 dead people that you have a revius. Is that metame? Here it says yes. That's also metame because it says I'll call nafshos meis lo yobo. It says nafshos, the plural, and I guess in learn after they're talking about blood also. So that's a drasha to say that even blood from 2 mason, the shear is also revius. So
I'm sorry, what happened? 2 people died in a boathouse.
no,
No,
you have a
sorry, what
revius. You have a
happened?
revius of blood of dead people in the ohel.
You have a revius of blood
of-
of dead people.
So let's talk about a simple case. You have a revius blood of a dead man, one dead man in the ohel. That's tummy, surely. A revius, the shear.
That's the shear. is
Could
the
be matami
revius.
boel. If you have less than a revius, it's not matami boel.
Okay.
But a revius is tami boel. What if the revius is a combination of 2 dead people,
Different bloods.
not different bloods together? It's a revius, but he didn't have a full revius of one dead man. So then it's not matami boel. Here the Mishnah says, Bryce says that's also matami boel. It's a
also-
chiddush.
in other
Some
words,
hold
it
not.
started.
What? It's mistari. Some hold not. Some hold after 1. And here it says even 2 also. So that's
Where's the
the
body? The body's not in the oil.
body's not here, only the blood. So the blood itself is matami boel. The dead of a blood man, the blood of a dead man is matami boel.
And
If
so
it's
the
a
fakos
revius.
is plural, that's how we
And
get
that's
it.
how you dash in even 2, even if it's from
Ah.
2.
Okay.
So that's the simon of the 5 red revius. Can we do that? A Nazir and also Pesach were paskening the Beis HaMikdash and they died. So that's supposed to remind you, a Nazir is for drinking a revius. Also Pesach means the level seder, David Kosas, nothing to do with the korban Pesach. And as to the also Pesach means David Kosas. Jehoru, that means that you're not allowed to paskin if you drank a revius. The Mikdash, you're not allowed to go into the Beis HaMikdash if you drank a revius of wine. Umesu, that the blood of a dead man, even 2 dead men, Umesu, both of them died. I guess you only need it for the story. Both of them died. That is enough to be a revius. So those are the 5 red reviusim.
1 second. Hora is only by red wine?
No,
Why is it red revius?
because usually wine is red. It's just for the simmer, just to remind you.
I'm saying.
All these things, the revius, island is also white.
Red,
wine
don't be
also.
red.
Usually red is white. Usually wine.
Yeah,
is
it's a
red.
pasuk. I'll tell you, yeah, in
Yes,
Adam. Stam wine
Is
is so.
red.
You can learn halacha, not halacha. You can learn. If someone tells you to buy you, if you tell you, someone asks me to go buy him wine.
You should
He
buy
doesn't.
it.
If he doesn't say which wine, you buy him red.
Okay, good. Now we're gonna have 5 other reviusim that are white, not red. 5 white reviusim, and it also gives you a simon. Chalas nazir mitzorah shenifselu b'Shabbos. That's the picture to remember. Chalas nazir mitzorah shenifselu b'Shabbos. The chala of a nazir and a mitzorah that
Chala.
became the chala
Alachalas Nazir Matzorah.
mitzorah shenifselu b'Shabbos, that they became puzzle on Shabbos. You have to remember such a kind of story.
That-
And not just a
We're talking
picture.
about the challah, the what was taken off of the bread.
You could do whatever you like because the whole thing is just a simon to remember. So you can make your own story, whatever it means. This is the story to remember.
But the challah, this is chalas Nazir means the challah of a Nazir.
Yes,
It's
what does
the way
that
you
mean?
prepare
It means
for
whatever,
Shabbos,
it means whatever you want to do. This is just a mnemonic to
I just want to
remember.
make sure I know what the word
The
challah,
word challah means,
taking off what you take off from.
no,
the
no, challah,
dough
no. Challah can mean also,
to fall.
chalos matzos, rikike matzos, the way you call on Shabbos your challah, you don't
Oh, it
call
could just be
anything.
like a kikar.
Bread, right? Chalos matzos, rikike matzos is a kind of a bread, a loaf of bread. You're already talking about, you're going not in the simon, you're going in the nimshal. But in the marshal, you have a story. So there's a chalas nazir mitzvah that became possible on Shabbos. Now we're going to explain what that simon is supposed to remind us of. Now goes the nimshal. What does chalas stand for? Revi Hashem l'chala. So there are breads, like Rabbi Lezer said, that's talking about the chalas toda. And over there it says this chalos toda, chalos matzos, and rikike matzos, and also revucha. Besides being there are 4 breads by a korban toda, 3 of them are matzah, 1 of them is chametz. The 3 matzahs are chalos matzos, rikike matzos, and a revucha. How much oil are the chalos supposed to get? Revius shem and l'chala. A revius was for the chalos of the menachos.
These
Of
are
the Torah.
cakes of bread.
Cakes of bread.
So here it means cake. It doesn't mean like.
It doesn't mean the mitzvah of challah, right? It doesn't mean the mitzvah of taking off challah, separating
Okay.
challah. The word challah really always means a loaf of bread, and the mitzvah of
Well, how
challah,
come,
challah to be Muslim. The mitzvah, the word challah doesn't mean the mitzvah of challah. The same way the word yibum doesn't mean the mitzvah of yibum. The word yibum means a brother-in-law. The word tzitzis doesn't mean the mitzvah of tzitzis. The word tzitzis means fringes. Everything has a meaning. There's no word that just means a mitzvah.
okay.
The Torah didn't invent words for mitzvahs. The Torah uses the words of the mitzvah, and it says there's a mitzvah to
So we
do.
have a loaf of bread. We
Yeah,
have a challah.
Chalos matzos, belulas b'shem. Right, it's a kind of a bread, a
Okay.
loaf of bread. So
And so
here it's telling you the amount of shemen.
Of shemen.
The shear is revius. The shear is a revius of shemen. Yeah, you could have more maybe, but maybe the revius of shemen they're supposed to have by the chalos toda.
Okay.
Just to point out that they explained that there's chalos and rekikin and revucha. So the chalos and the rekikin together get a revius. Each one gets really a shminas, because both of them together get a revius. That's what the Mefarshim being down over here. That both of them together get a revius. So it's really the chalos and the rekikin get a revius. The revucha has a lot of oil that gets by itself a revius. But when it says chalos, it doesn't mean chalos alone. It means chalos matzos and rekikin matzos. Both of them together get a revius, which means a shminas really. What is nazir? What is nazir supposed to remind you of? Revius shem nazir. That the nazir also brings chalos and rekikin. The same thing. Really, it's the same thing as I said a second ago by korban toda, and also by the nazir. The nazir only brings 2 out of the 3. It doesn't bring the revucha. It just brings the chalos and the rekikin. Both of them again get a revius, which means each one gets an 8. But that's how much shemen the nazir has to bring, because he's going to bring 2 kinds of bread. Each one gets a shminas. Altogether, it's a revius. So here we have 2 white revius, and here's white because it's oil.
Mhm.
So the oil is whitish. It's not red. So the
Means
oil-
afuke bread.
right. So the oil used for the chalos and the rekikin is a revius. The oil used for the chalos and rekikin of a nazir is also, I said red. The chalos and the rekikin is a revius, and also the chalos and the rekikin of a nazir is also a revius. The third case, mitzorah. What's the case of mitzorah that needs a
We
revius?
don't mention Revucha, right?
Doesn't mention revucha, right? You say why not? Maybe that,
Why not?
unless that's one.
More or less says, why not other things?
So maybe that's including the word chalos. Maybe chalos means that the chalos is going to be the chalos and the kikin is a revius, and the revucha is a revius. Put it all into the word chalos. As if we say toda.
It's in the other line.
Todas nazir, a different simon. Todas nazir. So chalos nazir mitzorah. What's mitzorah talking about? Revius mayim the mitzorah. The mitzorah, in his Torah process, you take a bird and the shachatas hatzipor ala mayim achayim. You're supposed to use mayim chayim. You put mayim chayim like rain, not rainwater, spring water that you put into a cup, and then you shecht the bird onto the water. The blood goes into the water. So how much water you have to have? How much mayim chayim you have to have for the mitzorah, for this Torah process? Revius mayim mitzorah. A revius of water. That's how much you have to have in order to shecht the bird into the water.
Mhm.
And what is Shenifsalu telling you? The Tanan, Vishakol Mashkin Tmeyin, posting a sakvia revius that mashkin, if a person drinks, I don't know why it says Vishar. To take out the word Vishar, I think that I can take out the word Vishar. Kol Mashkin Tmeim.
Continuation of a different Mishnah also.
Fine.
It's a continuation of a Mishnah.
It is over there. It says Vishar. What is the Vav over here? There's the Vav.
Shabbos, right?
Well, it says Vishar. I don't recall that it says Vishar. Let's see. Vav. Something's wrong. Revius. I got the wrong one. I'm not sure what the Vishar means over here. Okay. Vishar kol mashkin tmei and post kol mashkin tmei and post revius. If somebody drinks mashkin tmei, so with the rice he doesn't become tummy. This is one of the Yud Chesed, but this is one of the 18 zeros that they made. So if someone drinks a revius of mashkin tummy, he becomes tummy. Not if he touches it, only if he drinks it.
Here the Gavia is the person.
The person, right? The body, the person's body. If a person drinks a revius of mashkin tmei, his body becomes possible to drink, to eat truma. And the last one, B'Shabbos, all this happened on Shabbos. What's the similar for that? It's not B'Shar called here's B'Shar makes sense. B'Shar called mashkin revius. They call us shovchim revius. That what's the share for carrying? Over there's many Mishnahs, about 50 examples of how much you have to carry out into Rishus Harabim in order to be chayiv for carrying on Shabbos. So it has to be a significant amount. So it says, first talks about wine and milk and honey, how much is the chashivas for each one. And then it says all the other mashkim is all going to be the share revius. And also shofchim, wastewater, also the share is going to be a revius. That's considered a chashiv amount. They used to use it. They use it for making cement. They'll mix the dirty water. They don't care if it's dirty or not. So that's a significant amount that's going to be revius. So those are the 5 things that the Simon is supposed to tell you. White color, white, either white or one is here you have 2 cases of shemen, and then you have a case of water, and then you have shar mashkim. That also doesn't have to, it could be colored also, but it's not dafka colored. So altogether,
Why is it white? I don't understand.
white is another way of saying not red. It's just a symbol to remember. It's just all these things are mnemonics to remember about oil cases and water and shar mashkim. Shar mashkim doesn't have to be dafka white. It could be colorful also, but it's not dafka wine. The first ones were wine or blood. They say red, it's either wine or blood. And here, it's not dafka. So the cases, another 5 cases of revius. Altogether, 10 cases of revius, 5 reds, 5 whites. Let's try to do it. We had the white with the reds, we did it already. And now the whites is going to be chalas, nazir, mitzora, shenifsalu b'Shabbos. Chalas is what the shemen for the rekikim and the chalos. And nazir is the same thing. The chalas and rekikim is also shemen and revius. Mitzora is the water that he needs the mayim chaim. He needs the mayim chaim to shechter. And shenifsalu is that a person's body becomes puzzled when he drinks a revius of mashkim tameim. The Shabbos, that's the shit for carrying on Shabbos, Shar Mashkin. So those are 10 cases of revius we have in the Shas.
What was the last thing with Shabbos?
That's the shear for carrying, the shear that someone's going to be chayiv for carrying out from Rishus Yachad to Rishus Harabim, a significant amount of Mashkim is going to be a revius. Okay, so we went through the whole Shas, we got 10. And the Gemara says there are 3 more, 1, 2, 3, there are 4 more. The Gemara is conscious, there are 4 more revius. That you're allowed to use it, you have the shear to wash from the Tilas Yadayim is a revius. You have to have a revius of water to wash from the Tilas Yadayim. Just to point out that our standard washing cups are huge.
How do you do the whole here in one revius?
So someone told me that you go like this actually.
That's enough.
And some people do it together, don't they?
You can do that, but you don't usually have. But even that, how much is a revius? A revius is a
30 ounces.
Beitzal Metzah. The volume of an egg and a half. Our washing cups, I think it's
10 or 15.
at least 10. Huge cups we make, and every year it gets bigger. But now recently I saw a smaller one, like something.
When we do it multiple times, it's a release each time. maybe.
Okay, but how can we do it multiple times also? Okay, but it's huge. It says to wash with water, but we wash mamish with a bucket of water.
Sufficient water.
Yeah, a lot of water. But what's called a lot of water? It's for to be rich. What's called a lot of water? You're not going to take a bucket, right? Because that's exaggerated.
Masharis, you bring in a little water.
Nowadays, okay.
So
But
I'm sorry, what was this thing?
then what's that in kasha? There's another revius. The revius not only a dime lechad afilu l'shnayim, that if
What's
one
the
person
achad?
lechad one person could use a revius, and you should know you can even use a revius for 2 people. You can even use a revius for 2 people to wash the tilas yadayim.
Oh, so why wasn't it mentioned? In
Why
other
wasn't it
words,
mentioned as a revius?
It's a 6th thing.
A 6th, right?
Yeah.
The answer is, or call it an 11th one.
And 11th, yeah, yeah.
Why 10 is 11?
Yeah, yeah.
So the answer is beflukta lokamaibi. We're not talking about a machlokes because not everybody holds with this. Now the truth is everybody holds that the share is revius. The question is only if you're allowed to use revius for two people. Everybody holds you share revius is for one person. The question is if you're not even use the same revius for two people. But that's a kasha. Why is the one is explanation over here? Because just because of machlokes, if you have one or two, but everybody holds the shares of revius. So that needs explanation. What kind of answer is that? What's the answer that beflukta lokamaibi? We're not talking about a machlokes. Not supposed to reduce as a share, so I don't know what the answer is. There was another kasha, but
That's an answer.
that's an answer. But look to lokamaibi. We're not talking about machlokes case. It's true there are 11 cases according to some, but we want 10 cases that are unanimous.
Okay.
It might be maybe paili shalcheres for no saying l'socha chasi lugmayim and akiyah. Review the omer revius. How much water do you have to have by a sota? By a sota, they would take the parsha of sota and they would dissolve it into water. How much water do you have to bring? When you are dissolving the cloth, we are writing on the cloth into the water. Tanakama says you have to have a chatzilug, half a lug, which is two revius. Revius means a revius a lug, a quarter of a lug. Tanakama says you have to have a chatzilug from the kior. Rav says revius. So according to Rav they have here to share another case of revius. The answer is the filter lokamayim. That's only according to Rav. According to Tanakama, you have to have two revius. So chatzilug. So it doesn't mention that case. Kasha number 3. Over there it's talking about, I left out the answer over here. I'm sorry, I just have to fill it in. The question,
What is the socha what?
the socha, this is talking about urine. If you have urine, so you're not allowed to say bracha by urine, kriyashma, because it's the recha ra. So you have to put water into it. You have to actually tell the socha mind. How much water you have to put into urine in order they should be able to be mavatal, that they should be allowed to say a bracha within the proximity. So Tanakama says, kolshu, any amount. Rabzaki Omer revius.
What's it say, kosher?
A little
A
bit.
kosher means any amount was going to dilute it enough.
That's enough.
To
That's
say a
enough.
bracha.
That's enough.
But
That's
you
enough.
still smell.
I don't know the answer. It could be that there's still a smell. Could be that had nothing to do with Merrick Lime. Then it'll be even if it's a smell alone. But if there's no smell, there is no smell. Just the
It's outside and it's fresh air.
It's us even if there's no smell. So how much water you put in, any amount of water that is enough to consider diluted. Rabzaki says a revius. So the question is, have another revius over here? The answer is because only Rabzaki was like that. Tanakama says kosher. So we just want to say cases that are unanimous. So far we have 3 kashas. The answer to all of them was one more kasha. The bottom line, vika mikveh. Everybody knows a mikveh is a revius.
A mikveh is a
Mikveh is a revius. So how
40
could a mikveh be a revius? 40 saw. See here it says. No. So there's a big kasha that a mikveh is 40 saw. Here it says it's a revius. So the answer to that riddle is that with the rice, a mikveh is a revius. Of course, you have to get in. Okay, you have to get into it. That depends what's going in.
For a midget.
Even now, the revius is So to be told, what is that?
The Caleb.
To kalim, to have a needle, you have a needle, you want to be makil. So you could use that. There's 2 dinim. One is mikveh has to be a mikveh, and then it says the minimum shares of revius. Also, you got to get in. So if you're a person that's big, so you have to have enough water to get in. Over there it says Rabbana already kovei a set shear, so it's 40 saw. And even if you're a small person, you still need 40 saw because Chazal made a set shear. But with the Raisa, there's 2 conditions that it has to be at least a revius in order to be a mikveh at all, and they have to get in simultaneously, the whole body at once. But you can have a needle or something like that, some small things that have to be tovel in the mikveh. With the Raisa, little puddle of a revius of rainwater is a mikveh the Raisa. But
the words here
va'ika mikveh.
that it should be a revius.
Yeah, everyone knows that it's a revius. Everybody doesn't know, but it's a Gemara in. Sachem, they bring up Sachem Yudzayin over there. It says with the Raisa mikvah. I think a few places the Mishnah uses this point that with the Raisa mikvah is a revius. So why doesn't it say another case of a revius? The answer is Bar Meyahi. You take that away. They Rabbanan. Rabbanan said not. With Rabbanan, there's no such mikvah. Even if you want to be matbil a needle, it's not enough to go to a revius. You have to have 40 saw, like it says in the Mishnah and mikvahs, that you put it on the step of the mikvah and you push the water in order that it should. Make a wave.
Bar Meyahi means they take
Except,
it away.
but the word bar means splits. The word bar is
Yeah,
that one's out because the Rabbanan nullified that means even though the rice is a mikvah, but with Rabbanan it's not. Wonderful. So we got a lot of extra credit going on the cruise for the 10 reviews because we're talking about nazir. The nazir is number 1, and there are 5 reds and 5 whites and 4 kashas. Oh, okay. Here's a
Is
good
this,
one. Lamed Ches.
This last thing?
Lach
With the-
means moist.
with the eek,
What?
ha'ika mikvah,
Yeah.
it used to be the halacha, I'm not sure. if I
The
know.
word Ika means.
No, when was it a revis?
But the right said there's a mikvah, but revius.
Oh, you're right, it is a
It is,
revis.
yeah. The right
But the
said so.
rabbis
So
said-
the rabbi said no. It means that they, like any rabban, they say it's not good enough. But the right says a mikvah,
I
but the
see,
rabban
okay,
said it's not.
because in Galicia now, I heard that they, it had been puzzle and now it's kosher,
Yes.
and they're just waiting for rain.
Okay, now they have to be.
So, but when's it gonna rain now? It's gonna be months before it rains.
If they wanted, they could bring ice. And
From where?
Ice, from an ice company.
Oh, they could,
Yeah. That's how they
but
make it.
that's not drawn water.
That's how they make a lot of mikvahs. So make sure that it's not drawn. Means in the place wherever they get it from. That's the question. It shouldn't be in a kli before. It shouldn't have been drawn before they froze it. But if you
I was
have,
just thinking if it rains a little and there's a revis in there for kalim, it might
right,
be
but no,
okay.
so you have to
But it's
have
only
40.
for
You have to have 40.
Only for Caleb also?
Yeah. The whole thing is they get to Caleb because people anyway couldn't get into Rubias.
Ah.
The whole point is that Machtan Sinoros, and you do need
It
47.
might still rain. Okay, we'll see.
It might still rain, yeah, it's rained on Purim as well. Maybe not this late in the year.
Okay. Ahmed Beis.
Turn it off.
Oh, it's still there?
Yeah. Ahmed Beis.
It's
Ahmed Beis.
another. Almond.
Halftime.
Lamed Ches Ahmed Beis. I didn't have a chance to highlight this. Let's see how it goes.
17 stretch.
Top line Ahmed Beis. So we had Machlokes in the Mishnah Mishona, Mishnah Achrona. What's the share for a nazir to drink wine? Is it a kazayas or is it a revius? So just to learn simple, the Gemara will go to Rosh. The Rosh says that's extreme Machlokes. Either everything is a kazayas, even liquid, or everything is a revius, even solid. That's the pshat. That's one shot. The other shot also. Let's take one shot. Tanakama. The Rosh says Tanakama here means Mishnah Mishona. It means the original halacha that said that's revius. And he takes out the word low. That also was a question. The original guest, they take out the word low. Tanakama Madami Lahon Lachol Yisur Nazir L'Shtia. That it talks about drinking wine, and wine drink is surely a revius. So everything else is also going to be a revius, and therefore food is also going to be a revius. How much grapes you have to eat in order to be chayiv for nazir? A revius, the size of a revius, which is a beit mechzim. And Rabbi Kiva says that everything is a kazayas. Given that since it says not to eat, don't eat grapes and raisins. Just like eating is a kazayas by grapes, so the drinking is also going to be a kazayas. So the words are not so smooth, but that's one shot. That's the Rosh's shot, and the machlokes is extreme. Either everything is a kazayas, everything is a revius. Either you apply it, you compare everything to liquid. That's like liquid is revius, so too the solids are revius. Or everything's compared to the food, just like food is a kazayis, so too even the liquid is also going to be a share kazayis. Just for halacha, according to this, what I said this now. So if the Rambam says that food is a kazayis, if he eats grapes is a kazayis, and he drinks wine is a revius, doesn't fit with anybody. So the Rambam didn't learn this shot. So the Rambam had different shot in the Gemara, and that's how the Rambam paskins that if another eats grapes and things, so then the share is a kazayis. If he drinks, then the share is a revius.
And you don't mix them. You keep the shear to solid and liquid.
You want to know if you're Messiah, if you're Messiah
And you
together.
sorry if
If you're Messiah, what's going to be that's going to be the share.
Half of it, that's for the half.
What's going to be the share then? Probably the Chomer Shabbat. The Mishnah said that you chayiv each one by itself, which the Pashto on the Mishnah means that if you have a lot of different things, like it says grapes and raisins and and skins, so you chayiv for each one. That he said, don't do that because it's all of it. Torah says, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. He did all of them. So it's chayiv for each one. If it would have been only one at one time, he says, don't eat grapes, and he ate 5 grapes. It's only one malchus. But if he said the grapes and the pits and this, so he's chayiv malchus for each one. The person that says all these psukim, it says each one individually, so you chayiv malchus for each one. So if you ate, let's say, grapes and raisins, that's another in the Yevishim, so it's chayiv for each one. We cannot tell them the Chol Yisrael Shebetorah. They say Shebenazir maybe. Even though it's the same type of food, but since it's called two different names, grapes and raisins, or maybe like it says yayin, chometz shechel, that even though it's the same thing, it all comes from the grapes. But since it's called two different names, it's chai for each one by itself. Anything similarly, even if it's going to be the same shorish, it's the same thing. But since it has two different names, it's chayiv too. So too, if he would drink new wine, literally, yain chadash, which we probably translate as grape juice, freshly squeezed grapes, and grapes, he's also chayiv too, even though he just it's all the same, wine and grapes. But since it's called two different names, this is called grape juice, this is called grapes. So it's considered two, it's chayiv two malchus. And that's the end of that sugya. And we continue to the next sugya. Amar Abaye.
Touching on it, but they don't say that new wine is not considered, can't be it's a valid prices.
We're not talking about wine, it says even grapes and raisins also. No, it's not even take a grape. You can't, it doesn't have to do with wine. When you need wine, you have to have certain conditions, that's called wine. But here, the nazir is also even in grapes. So it's not a problem that grape juice is, grape juice is also going to be awesome. And here the is. That is calling it wine. You want to say, if you want, whatever you want to say, Chama Chalata means wine. It's not grape juice. Also good. The grapes and wine is also going to be chayv too, because it's two different names. Even though it's all the same, you chayv two different names. There's a kasha on this Gemara.
One's a solid, one's a liquid. Why do you-
Yeah, also you chayv two. You would think you only chayv one because it's one. What?
I saw someone saying that it's the same taste.
There's a kasha over here that
Grapes and grapes, it's the same.
There's no chiddush in this point because the pasuk says all these things openly. It says over there, it says about yayin and about grapes. These are the pasukim says beferish. You have to learn out of limud. You have to learn out that it's also chayiv by cham v'chadat and envy. That's the pasuk.
What is envy?
Envy is great. Anavim.
Why would we?
Grapes.
Why would you include grape? I thought the whole. Oh, because it said geffen. It didn't say the.
No, I thought you asked kasha in the terrace. I didn't get the kasha.
I thought we know that a nazir can't eat grapes.
For sure. The question is if you
So
had
why
grapes
is it
and also-
including grapes?
No, the question is if he had both of these things, is chayiv too, Malchus. If he has a cup of wine or grape juice and he has grapes, he's chayiv and don't do either one. Then Torah says don't do that, and he did it. He's chayiv two
Oh,
Malchus,
to include that even if he had those two, he'd be five.
chayiv two. And the kasha l'chari is that's pressure possible. These things are pressure
That's
possible.
very well said away.
That one.
Because I would assume wine, maybe not grape juice. Grape juice would be,
If you want to say grape juice, then as a chiddush, then
because wine is wine and grape juice, and wine is wine and grapes are grapes. It's not the same thing.
Oh, grapes.
But freshly squeezed.
they'll say the chama to him is grape
The
juice.
grape juice and the grapes taste the same.
Similar and
And you
still
might think it's
five
like
three.
eating two grapes.
So you chayiv two because grapes and raisins are considered two, even though it's all the same. Since it has two different names, it's considered two things. Even though if you go
No,
to
but
this
the
track,
bigger hit, I think, goes like with Avrohom Nissi.
that one,
They taste the same, but they have different names.
and therefore you chayiv two.
So you think.
Nu gemara, Amar Abaye, Achal chatzam lo kashtayim. If someone ate pits, chayiv, whatever you want to say, chatzam the is what it means. There's chatzam the pits. We'll go to Yosi. Chatzam is the pits. So he's chayiv two malchus. Why is he chayiv two malchus? It just says don't eat chatzam. He ate chatzam, so it's only one malchus.
Yeah.
So why is he chayiv two? Let's see more. Achal zag.
Is the Lashon Vavim.
That's Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer says he has to eat two, but that's not the point. The point of it, it doesn't mean to say that he had only one. He wouldn't be a shear. It means that he ate chatzanim. It doesn't talk about how much he ate. He ate a shear of chatzanim. He ate pits. He ate grape pits. He's chayiv two malchus. Why is he chayiv two malchus? Achal zag lo b'shtayim. If he ate the skins, he's like it's two malchus. Why is he chayiv two malchus? He only ate skins.
Which Lavin?
Which lavin? It says don't eat zag, don't eat chatzanim. But why is he chayiv two? Achal chatzan v'zag lo b'shalosh. He ate chatzanim and zagim. He's chayiv three. So the Gemara is not explaining it. Why is it chayiv three? Why are you always adding on another one? You should have said chazan is one, zag is one, chazan and zag is two. The Gemara says no. Abaye says each one add on, always add on one. Let's see soon. Rav Omar ein elo ke'ala achas. Rav says no, nothing. Don't make it two. Ein elo ke'ala shebaflalo. So here the Gemara gives it away that the case of Abaye was because it says mikol she'yosem yigefanayayin. Besides saying all of these pratim, besides saying all these details, it also says anything comes out of the tree. From the vine is usher. So Abaye says if you ate anything, you're always over two averes. Because if you ate a grape, like it says, don't eat grapes, and also Torah says anything comes out of the vine. So he did that also. It's true, he did it in one act. But if you ate grape seeds, you ate grape seeds. Torah says don't eat grape seeds, and the Torah also says don't eat anything coming out of the grapevine, which is grape seeds. So Abaye always throws on. There's another general avera that's lurking, that's hovering over him, which is Mikol Hashem Yosem Megefen Hayayin.
We know this from the answer of Rava, because he says you don't do a lav.
You're not
don't
getting
do the
there's no
extra.
chiyuv malchus on a general lav. You only chiyuv malchus for a particular lav.
Okay.
So when it says grapes, don't drink wine, don't eat grapes, don't drink vinegar, all these things is particular. But a general thing, kol hashiyas and megefen hayayin, for that there's no malchus.
There's another learning for that. What? So there's a question.
Machlokes, there's machlokes. There's a machlokes over here on the pasuk that says we call hashiyas and megefen hayayin, that he should not eat
Right.
or drink anything comes out of the vine. Is that going to be a separate lav? Or Rava says no, Abaye says yes, and therefore according to Abaye, if he ate anything, he's always going to be chayv two malchus because he ate the specific thing of. Let's say only one case will have, maybe if it's going to talk about grape leaves that you learn out from Kalash Yasam Megefen Hayayin, maybe over there he's going to say that there's only one because it doesn't say he didn't do two things. But every time he eats a grape, so besides eating a grape, don't eat grapes, and also it says don't eat anything comes out of the vine. So you ate a grape which comes out of the vine. So if you eat pits or you eat wine or grape skins, whatever you do, so you're always going to be chayv two. And if you took chasanim viz zagim, or if I would say three, one is because you ate chasanim and you ate zagim and you ate mikol hashiyas and megefen hayayin. And Rava always takes off this mikol hashiyas and megefen hayayin.
Actually, there's a learning from that when it says everything that comes out of a tree that the Chachamim learn something unique about it. It puts me the love.
But besides that, the Gemara says also, Abai says it's a lot. Rava says you're not chayv malchus for that class. Must have could be. Must have a papa. Akasha from a brisa. Papa akasha from a brisa. But let's Omer. Nazir shows the yain kol hayom and a chayv balachas. If a nazir is drinking wine the whole day, they said don't drink wine. You're a nazir. Don't drink wine.
This is a kasha on Abaye.
Let's see. We didn't see it. I don't know yet, but let's
Well,
see.
because it said one. There's no,
Well, it doesn't say anything yet.
it didn't.
Oh, you're saying because it says one. Ah,
Yeah, and Abaye
ah,
said two.
nice. Okay, good. I didn't realize that.
We're not through with the price.
I know it goes on. Yeah, it goes on. It goes on,
Oh,
and
I'm
I
sorry.
realized. And I don't know. I don't know if the Gemara is going to answer your question.
Oh,
I didn't realize that.
okay. I thought that was the simple kasha.
Here it says that if then they told the Nazir don't drink wine, and he's drinking the whole day, but they didn't tell him again. They didn't tell him again and again. They just told him one time, don't drink wine. Then, don't drink. He takes another cup of wine. Then he says, don't drink. And he eats it. Then it's high for each one. They keep on telling him, don't drink. Who shows that he keeps on drinking. Then it's high for each time that they warned him. He ate grapes and raisins and pits and skins and grape juice. He's high five. And here the Gemara gets excited that it says fine. And according to Abai, it should have been 6 because you also have Mikol Hashei Yasem Megefen Hayayin. The Gemara doesn't ask the kasha from the Reisha that it says you chayv only 1. That's like Yaakov's kasha. That the Reisha says you only chayv 1. It should have said 2. I don't know. But here, in contrast, so it's only one time. That could be one set. Okay. So this is answering your question. Maybe it's only saying in contrast to the Altishta, this was one time for the whole day, it's only one set. If it may be many various, maybe. But here that it says they told him, don't eat grapes, right? It says all these things. So it says it's chayiv 5. And according to Abai, it should be chayiv 6. Here we see the kashas on Abai. Achas on the Kol Hashei Yoseh. That's the kasha on Abai. It should have said 6.
Achas al Mikol Hashei Yasem.
He should be chayiv 1 more for Mikol Hashei Yoseh. The Gemara tries to get out of it. Ton of a Shia. You're right, they could have said it, but it left it out, which is a pretty hard kasha. It could have said it, but it doesn't say it. It really means Yechayiv in the general one. But here, the fact that he ate different things, so he's chayiv for each one, and then Yechayiv is 6 one also.
There's only like a buyer, not everybody holds the extra one.
It's a kasha on Abayim. It's a
Oh,
kasha on
it's another
Abayim. It's a
kasha.
kasha. It's not another. It's a kasha number 1. There's only one kasha.
We're still holding.
Abayi said Yechayiv for it. The Rabbi said, no, tomorrow's a kasha. Papa is a kasha on Abayi from this brisa. That says Yechayiv 5. It should have said 6. The Gemara answers Tana B'Shia. Abayi will answer that it could have said it, but it left it out. But the one never likes that only if it left out more than one. But if it left out only one thing, it's not going to leave out one thing. My shear, the high shear. What else did it leave out? Then it's leave out this one. It's not going to just leave out one. The answer is shear lo yachal devoro. Could have said something else. It could have said another avera because every time a nazir transgresses his nazirus, he's transgressing his vow. So just like anytime you make a vow, I'm not going to eat bread. Also, is a malchus. So the fact that he happened to be a nazir doesn't take away from the regular avera of transgressing his vow.
What does shear mean?
Left over, like Shiraya.
I don't understand. What are we talking about?
The question was why it doesn't say 6. The answer
Right.
was son of a, let's just try to make light over here. The answer was son of a Shia. This was the answer. The kasha before that was that it should have said so. It was the kasha Wilki Sheish. Okay, I can't stop letting me slowly. Okay. Wilki Sheish achas al mikol hashay yos. That's the kasha. The answer was son of a Shia. The kasha is my shear, the high shear. What else did you leave out? You can't just say left out one thing. It's an exhaustive list besides one. That's not good. What else did you leave out? The answer is shear lo yachal devaro. It left out another aver that I could have said that you transgressed the isser to transgress your vow. You made a vow. It happened to be a vow to be a nazir. But anytime you transgress a vow, you're chayiv. So here also you're chayiv. Besides all this 5, there'll be chayiv really 6 because he transgressed lo yachal devaro. So really you're chayiv also on the 6th one, also on the 7th one that we call that shey yasem gefen.
So
But
6 and 7 will let them.
Right, that's okay. That's acceptable.
Taking
answer.
out from his, that what comes out of the Geffen.
Yes, Avai will stay and lo yachal devaro.
Yeah.
So don't get so excited. It's not. It's loose. It's not going to tell you an exhaustive list. But the Gemara doesn't like that. The Gemara is going to attack this answer. That's not a good answer. That's not a reason why you should have said it. Shouldn't have said lo yachal devaro. Because
It's not
he
considered.
could tell me
left out.
did the law you say bedoch tachriti. Layachal devaro, you say ben adorim. We're only talking things that have to do it only with nazir. But layachal devaro is a general thing.
Not for all
that have all the Torah.
everything in the Torah.
Not everything in the Torah.
Everything that you commanded him. Everything he claims he will do.
Yeah, he's not going to eat bread. He's not going to eat whatever he makes. He's not going to eat bread. He's not going to eat drink apple juice. Whatever he wants to make it. So it's not nothing.
He's going to help his wife today, and he forgets to.
That has to be answering something. Yeah, he's answering something.
something,
Whatever the
yeah.
case would be, he's answering something. So that the Gemara doesn't like. The Gemara doesn't like this. So at this point we're holding by.
Can you say it again, the reasoning?
Because it's only a question that it should say things. It's only expected to list averas that have to
That
do
have
with
to do
nausea.
specifically with that.
If it's a general thing,
that's-
like, you know,
That place.
Yeah, but if it has to do with anything that the Dharma is so general, it's like saying that he transgressed. He should fear Hashem. You know, that's not what we're talking. We're not talking about that. We're talking about specific to the Nazir. So it says Layachal Devoro. That's also very general. It doesn't have to do with Nazir only. But on a but Abai, it's a kasha that it should have said. At this point, the Gemara is holding by kasha on Abai that it's not satisfactory. Not satisfactory. The Brisa that says 5 is against Abai. It should have said 6.
So this last thing is when it says lo yechel devaro, isir ben nadorim. If that's a question.
Did the lo yisei b'duchta achriti, comma, lo yachal devoro, yisei ben adorim, right, that's how you read it. The lo yachal devoro applies to all kinds of adorim, not after over here by Nazir, so that's not a reason
Well,
why.
what does he say?
Yisei means that it's yeshno, that it exists
It exists in Nadorim.
also, so it's not, when do we say things that don't exist anyplace else? The lo yisei
Oh.
b'duchta achriti, only something that doesn't exist anyplace else, only by Nazir, but lo yachal devoro exists by Nadorim also, so it's not enough to say it. So that's not a good reason why the Brisa left it out. That's not called leaving it out. So it only left out one thing, like with Barakasha, my shai the high shire. We didn't accept yet this answer of Abaye. So at this is a little difficult now. I don't know how to read it yet. I'll just say the words and leave it as a question. He seems to have a answer. Ravina seems to be helping out Abaye and says, I have a pshat. It left out something else, which is called Beina B'nayim. What does Beina B'nayim mean? So we had a couple of pages ago, there's Beina B'nayim. There were 2 pshatim over there. Some say that it meant, there's over there, the pasuk says, B'chasanim v'ad zag. You have the word v'ad zag. And the question was, what do you do with the word ad? What's the ad coming to teach you? So it says Beina B'nayim. What does Beina B'nayim mean? Something in between. What's in between? So one pshat was that it means there's small grapes in between the big grapes, that they don't get a lot of sunlight, and they're not such good grapes. Others said that it means the pulp, which is between the skin and the pit. That's called, and even though you know you for a grape, But Rav Nissen was happy in this pshat that there's a chiddush to say that I've eaten the pulp alone.
Rosh was happy with it. The Rosh was not happy with the other.
I mean, but maybe you throw it to be chayav with the grape, you have to eat the whole thing. You just eat
Or,
parts
or
of
the
it.
skins alone also, the pits alone also, but to eat the pulp alone is also okay.
You could
Because
you,
people
if you
don't
have
eat
a
that
you have a guest, you're not gonna give him just the pulp. You're gonna give him a whole grape, no?
Some people, when
If
they eat a
it's a
grape,
kid,
they
they'll-
suck out the
Yeah,
pulp
it's
and they
more
throw it
sweeter,
away.
it's definitely sweeter, it's more enjoyable, but it's not machubadik, no?
Okay, but there's a chiddush that you're chayav eating the pulp alone, even though you know the grape and you know the skins and you know the pits, but you don't know the pulp. So, and the Gemara, but the Gemara is very difficult, very difficult. The Gemara says that's why, and it should have said it. It should have said Yechayiv Bein Benayim also. Now the Chor is not a special pasuk by itself. The Gemara sees in that word ad Bechasanim Ba'ad Zag that it's a special ad, and this helps out Abaya. How come it says only 5?
It didn't say Ben. Where does it say Ben and Banana?
Where?
The second
Where?
last
That's
line.
interesting.
When you eat it, when you eat a
Last
grape,
line.
when you eat a grape, you ate a grape, you ate the
I
pulp
mean,
also.
it's not in a pasuk or anything.
No, we had a Gemara before, 2 pages ago.
Okay,
We said
about
Bechasanim
ad.
Ba'ad Zag Bein
It's
Benayim.
addressed from Ad.
I think so. That's what the importance of it.
Oh.
And I think why wants that it should also be considered a separate log. So if you ate the pulp, you get another variant. It seems very strange. You ate a grape, so you have how you eating a grape, and if eating the skins, and for eating the pit, and for eating the pulp. And at this point,
We're just trying to
Help out
justify Abai.
it
Yeah.
has to work. But the Gemara is happy with that. The Gemara seems to be happy. But the problem now is, now I don't understand. The Gemara at this point, we're in the green. I went to the trouble of making it red and green to end up that we're green. We're in the green now.
Which means
Yeah,
it's
but
an
Rav
answer.
Papa-
Abai is okay.
Rav Papa should not be
Abai is
happy.
okay.
Rav Papa's not happy
Why not?
because he said oh, you mean he's been.
Abai asked the kasha, and we answered the kasha. The Papa asked the kasha on Abai that you should have had 6.
And they say, in
and-
Achanami, there's more than.
And that's what the
one.
answer. The more came out, there's an answer that 6 is even 7.
Tani B'Shire.
None of a shear, my shear,
None
shear,
of a shear.
benefit. So at this point, we should close the code. Everything's good.
Okay.
But our Papa, who was one to ask the kasha, he comes to answer the kasha. We don't answer the kasha,
Yes, tell the truth.
but he answered the
Yes.
kasha.
Yeah, tell the truth.
What's the truth?
He does.
I don't get it yet. El Amra Papa. I don't know. El Amra Papa. What's El Amra Papa? As if to say he's something's problem. Nothing's problematic right now. The Papa was okay. The Papa asked the kasha, and Ravina Mipazaki
Maybe
answered the
he's
kasha.
doesn't like
maybe
the
he's
answer.
continuing with his.
He doesn't like the answer about Pope. About Beni Ben.
I mean, you have to say what you don't like. He should say, I don't like that. And then, but anyway, Papa seems to be another answer. Lo Tanya Midi Chamesh. That it doesn't say Chamesh. In the Brisa before, it doesn't say Chamesh. Look at the Brisa. It says that don't drink and he ate. Achal anavim lachim v'yiveshim chatzanim v'zagim v'sachat eshkol shanavim v'shasa loke. And it doesn't say Chamesh. It doesn't
Where
say
was
Chamesh.
this? Where-
It says Chamesh right there. It doesn't say Chamesh. Means that the Brisa was misquoted. It just says local. No kasha and abaya.
He's saying.
Oh.
I was quoted
Yeah, but-
Brisa.
Oh, Loke Chamesh. The Chamesh is not in the Bryson.
So the Gemara says, I thought that the Gemara means to say, I'll change the Brisa for you. If you have a kasha and abaya, I'll take out the word Chamesh. The Gemara has the kasha now, top line. The ha'osvei Chamesh. U'miyachad lo tanya Chamesh by time ha'osvei. Papa asked the kasha. He's the one who put the Brisa into the Bishmedrash, and he said it says 5. He asked the kasha and abaya. So how can a Papa ask the kasha from Brisa that doesn't say? Papa, I know Sabi love he be I thought that he didn't have a fact. Abaya didn't have a fact that he holds that you're chayiv from kol asher yosem megafen hayayin. I thought he's going to retract. So bringing the Brisa, what he's saying, I'm listening. He knew that it doesn't say chamesh.
That's why
He just threw it in. He just threw it in to scare him. And Abaya didn't get scared. So he said, okay, if you're not scared, so I think it really doesn't say chamesh. Like, how do you say?
Well, he challenged him
game
on
is
it.
over.
You just challenged him.
He challenged him on a concept that wasn't written.
It doesn't really say. It says chamesh. So he thought Abaya's going to get scared and say, okay, so I'm wrong. But he didn't get scared. He said, no, that's the way it is. So my Papa said it really doesn't say chamesh. I didn't learn this chat. I'm listening to chat. I thought it means that I'm ready to amend the Brisa in order to help out Abaya. I'll say that's a mistake. But I'm listening to saying that he knew it didn't say it, but he said I'm going to say it in order to ask Kasha and see if he backs down. And if Abaya didn't back down, so okay, so then it doesn't really say chamesh. One more line. What did Rabbi Lazar say? It says Rabbi Lazar talks about Chasanim and Zag. We need the next thing, etc. Over there it says what's Chasanim, what's Zag. Which one is which? Rabbi said that the Chasanim is the pits, and Rabbi Yossi says Chasanim.
Chasanim is like Chutza.
All right,
One
the
side, I
outside.
forget which
Right,
one
right,
is
good, good. Rabbi Yehuda says that Chasanim is the outside and the Zag is the pits, and the Yossi says no, that the Zag is like the Zub Shal Behema, the Zag is the bell, the outside, and the Chasanim are the pits. Rabbi Yosef, Kaman, Tagaminan, reports it in Adi Tzurin, Rabbi Yossi. The Targum Onkelos says on this person, Mechasanim Adzag, it says porcelain, Adi Tzurin. And everybody knows that means pits and the skins. So that's like Rabbi Yossi, that Chasanim is
The
the pits.
the Targumon is Unkelus.
Targum of this pasuk, Targum Onkelos for this pasuk, Mechasanim Adzag is in Aramaic, the porcelain, Adi Tzurin
Portzanim
are pits.
pits.
And the Tzurin is the skin, the shell, the peel. So that's like Rabbi Yossi.
What was the question on Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah? What?
No kasha. That's just a dibra maskal, and really it doesn't mean that you can cross it out in red, and it means v'chulu. The end of the price, the end of the Mishnah says, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the chatzanim are the skins, and according to Rabbi Yossi, the chatzanim are the pits. And Rabbi Yosef says that the targum was like Rabbi Yossi. Yeshiko, thank you. And we'll be back in a few minutes with Hilchos Shabbos. Before